live. Let's do it, Vlada. Again, another Thursday, another chew on this. Chew on this.
Yes, our bite-sized insights, and today we have such a fascinating topic.
I know. I'm very excited. It's a on a creative side. So I guess which part of our brain are we gonna be using today? The left, the left or the right one. Hi
Yeah.
everyone. Hi everyone who is joining. This is Anna and this is Vlada. We are here. We are hosts of Chew on This. And what is Chew on This? Who knows? Vlada, what is Chew on This? Or maybe somebody from the audience will share in the comments. But yeah, what's Chew on This? And what's this interesting name?
I know. Well, Chew on This is our second act of our LinkedIn lives, right? We started off actually.
It's a Friday live. Friday
Pardon?
live, remember? It was a Friday live.
Yes, it was a Friday live. It was, and we just started doing it because we wanted to catch up every week, and then we said, why not share it with everyone? And we talk about interesting updates and topics. Many of them are business or life of entrepreneurs, those that are close to both of our audiences, and we wanted to just do it live and share with everyone. And so it started with no name and just an idea. Like all, I think, good projects actually start this way. What do you think? Do they start sort of organically in that way?
That's a really good question. I think that usually you would have to have a name for something that you want to start, but like we did have a name, but we were just not sure whether we want to stick with it, or like we just wanted to experiment really because we didn't have experience with the live LinkedIn lives back then. So we were thinking, like, remember it was Friday afternoon, and then we listened to our audience who started sharing with us, hey ladies, like people stop working on Thursdays. That's what I that's what my LinkedIn friends were like, Anna, like, why are you doing this on Friday? People are not working Thursday afternoon, and like people are not on LinkedIn on Thursday afternoon. LinkedIn is
Those
dying
in Miami
out.
or also outside?
Yeah. So actually, the person who made this comment was in Miami. So I just, like, for fun, after he made that comment, I ran a poll on my LinkedIn page asking like, when do you actually stop working? And people did say that they stopped working. Well, at Friday lunchtime, like after lunch. So technically, our live at 4 p.m. I think it was pretty much to just you and I, so nobody was listening to us, even though we were sharing some crazy personal stories. Remember that?
I know. And then we just loved the experience. The feedback was great, and we wanted to formalize this and call it something, right? And when we decided to formalize it and call it something, then we actually used an amazing new set of tools.
Oh my God,
available to
that
us.
is a secret tool, guys, that Vlada and we discovered. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great when you're trying to pick a name for your company or your project or your book or whatever. That's a secret tool. Please, only you and us. We don't want you to share this information with anyone. Vlada, 1, 2.
Tops.
1, 2, 3, go.
Yes, top secret. But we use the secret tool that you guys don't know, ChatGPT. Voila, right?
Oh,
and it was amazing. It actually took us about
No.
15...
It took us ChatGPT and 2 Aperol spritz.
I don't remember that. I wasn't there. I don't know what you're talking about. But
Aperol spritz is not a necessary thing to yeah.
But it was so it was a great process, and so we talked about sort of the essence, right? And so the prompt was really about who the audience is, right? You are as we always
it was the identity, the brand identity, like, well, not the brand, but like the identity of the idea, so to speak.
Yeah, and whenever I start any prompt, I always say who I hired ChatGPT to be, and if you don't do it, it makes a difference, right? So in this case, we said we are hiring you as a top in the world naming brand strategies and brand naming expert, our audience, and we describe who our audience is. and we describe what we do. It's a live show. That what our goals are with this show, right? To inspire folks, to share practical tips, and just frankly to entertain, just bring some sort of a lighter mood and humor to Thursday lunch break, and so you guys can refill your energy tanks and go back to work and accomplish important things. But both of us are fans of humor, and
What I do remember about that, that time, that day when we were brainstorming on the name, it did take us quite a long time to come up with
Mhm.
something that we liked, because ChatGPT would give us we went through like multiple iterations, because ChatGPT would give us some ideas that were like we didn't feel it, and I, to be honest, was ready to give up. I was like, oh my god, this is not going anywhere. But you
I remember.
you were more persistent, and I'm happy we did
I
that.
know he's got it in him or her. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. You were like, I know you can do it. You're my assistant. You can do it. Yeah, because you were
yeah, and
using
that's the
yours.
other advice actually that I recently learned from true AI experts, that emotionally asking, saying that your life depends on the output of ChatGPT, actually improves the outcome and what you get from it
What do you mean? What do you
exponentially.
mean? Emotionally asking?
Just saying that in the chat, that my life depends on your ability to come up with a truly distinct and brilliant name.
My God! Wow, I didn't know that. That
Yeah.
sounds like a threat.
No, no, no. It works. It becomes smarter when you say that.
Honestly,
Um,
yeah. You should have told me this earlier. I was hosting an AI session for Florida educators yesterday in Orlando, so I could have told them. But I'm gonna still share the presentation with them, so I'm gonna add this as an expert
yes,
tip from
exactly. As a
Vlada.
bonus tip.
Bonus tip
Uh,
from my friend.
yeah. So anyway, we went through this process, and it was great, because I think one of the things we tried to do was not to be very literal, right? So we tried to chew on this, the idea that it's something bite-sized, it's something easy to digest, but it's lifts you up. It gives you sort of the right kind of the right meaning that we wanted to put in. And so I remember how we started actually experimenting and saying, hey, think about other analogies, right? And so we're talking about, think about the category of food, think about a category of sports, think about, other or weather, right? So we started with exploring different areas. And I think that that was kind of part of our mix to come up with something that might be not as evident and just stands out. So chew on this. We both love it, and we love chewing on this with you guys.
Absolutely. I love this. And to be honest, moving on with the name, we use ChatGPT to come up with the logo too, right? So we did the logo generation with ChatGPT, which also, actually, I think logo generation was even faster, because we already had the name, so we could see, like, it just like you had to verbalize your vision in your head now to like put it in words and tell
Yeah,
ChatGPT what to do. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to. So that was a cool story, and I think hopefully that inspires you guys to whatever new project. And by the way, something I learned pretty early on in my consulting days, that naming a project, a team, initiative, something just gives it a whole different level of commitment and meaning, right? So, and it always makes it more fun. Like we, back in consulting, but also at Classic, whenever we had, I don't know, maybe it's a new priority for the company, we needed to figure out a new launch. Like we would call it something fun, and then it's like, hey, are you part of, I don't know, Bears team or whatever, or Tiger team, or right, like some things that maybe are particular kind of insider speak for the team, just makes it so much more cool, right? And it's like, hey, I'm from this team, I want to be from this team too. And so
Yeah,
that just creates this kind of extra sense of belonging. And I think that
I like
you
it.
can't really underestimate some small things like this.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, definitely. Definitely that contributes to team spirit, right? And to I feel like the productivity on the project because then remember something that we chatted with you about last week when we talked about the team, building the team, being bossy versus not being bossy.
Right.
And like I said, that for me, team, like this is not a family, that's a sports team. So like and when you're like in the family, I don't think you will find like you will pick names to I don't know to call your like family members or something like that. But like for teams, that's something great. Vlada, I have a question. Maybe you have something from early days in class tag or in your
Yeah.
corporate life. Was something related to naming or like your friends, some fun stories, anything? I feel like you have something.
Yeah. I I was just thinking about it. It actually took me a really long time to name class
Class
tag. In
tag.
fact,
But it's so
yes.
it's so natural. Like I mean, now since like we have the name already and it's been around, it sounds like so on point. So how did it
Thank
happen?
you. Initially, it was called Parentville, and then I absolutely hated
What
it.
did it? What was it? Say it again.
Parentville.
Oh,
Um,
Parentville. Oh my God, like Techville, the my project that I named.
oh yeah. Yeah, so it took me a really long time. Well, the main thing I wanted it to be able to do because it's a communication platform, and so I thought about how do I want people to really talk about it, and I really wanted it to work as a word, right? And so for me, like that's why class tag once that emerged sort of made so much sense. Like you can class tag me, like it kind of makes sense. You can use that
Hmm.
word, right? Parent will me doesn't
No,
doesn't
no.
really work.
I like the
Just as
name
well.
though. I like the name Parentville. Parentville. Well, it's a little bit hard to say, but yeah.
Yeah, so I thought of it as a verb, as an action. For me, that was important. And actually, years later, when I was picking up my daughter from school, one parent told me, "Hey, I'll class tag you later." I was like,
You're like,
"Yes,
yes.
this is it. This is why I call it a class tag." So that was one thing that was important to me. I also wanted to use some words around school related, right? Parent, class, school, something, and that helps with SEO, frankly, right? Because that's in the name. So whenever you write, that sort of boosts it immediately, but it also just creates kind of easier affinity to understanding what it is you do. And then, so I was going from, school, class, parent, teacher, something, and then something else, right? That can kind of
Without
short that.
ChatGPT, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, there
That's
was
why
no
it was
ChatGPT, and I wanted a .com URL, right? Because in education, I mean, now of course everyone has .ai, and it's a new world. But as an educational company, we wanted something that was more sort of
solid,
lasting and
solid.
legit,
Yeah. Mhm.
solid. Yeah, so we wanted .com, and obviously that's not an easy feat these days. And so to find something that's available, and I think we might have paid like a couple of $100.
Oh, really? Okay, so not even 1,000. Wow, that was that was great. That was great.
That
Yeah.
was a steal. Yeah. And then Tag Your Writ is also a game. So that's sort of the idea of playfulness and just community,
Mm.
tagging each other, tag teaming.
Yeah.
So it had a lot of meaning, but it took I think it actually took longer than it should have, because at the end of the day, yes, the name matters, but that's actually the meaning you put in it. As a founder, I might say something that's quite controversial. I think the most important thing is that
The
you really
product.
like it as a
The
that
customer, the
you
customer.
know that you like it as a founder, because at the end of the day, like Apple doesn't mean anything, right? Like to
Well, to the
Apple is an
technology,
apple.
yeah, technology. It's just an easy name to remember, and everyone likes
Right, easy name
apples.
to remember, but that's the
But
meaning that it
yeah,
acquires over time.
but also like idea was like they wanted like how many apples are there in the world? There are so many apples in the world, so that was like the idea. We want to have everyone to have an apple a day, like
Right.
to keep it.
And not
So
to be a bad apple, not to be a bad apple
not to
either.
be a bad apple, right? So it was just like this concept of a simple thing that everyone can afford, that everyone wants to have, that every is useful for everyone. So there's a lot of depth in it. So I'm curious actually to maybe read on like how this name come up, the Apple, how they came up with the name, what was the thought process there.
Yeah,
uh
maybe some of the folks in the audience know the process. It would be cool too.
yeah, share link us to some articles before we go chat GPT.
Yeah, exactly. But tell me a fascinating story because you're right called English, which I can
English,
guess where
yeah,
that's coming
English.
from, but
Where, yeah, so so actually this name just got picked. Like I didn't choose it. It was, so here's what happened. I think it was I mean, I already had English for IT. So the way I was like, my name is English for IT is very original. I just started teaching English for IT. Before I pivot to English for IT, I had language schools for everyone. So one of the names was Linguosity. Linguosity. It's like
oh
university
wow.
linguosity, right? So that was a good name. I like that name. But then I didn't want to use this name when I decided to do English for IT. Although it was just like, it was solid technically. But I don't know. I didn't, I had the .com domain, by the way, and it was, but anyways, I decided to go with English for IT, and it's .online, which I don't mind, and for me it didn't matter so much. Yeah, so I stick with English for IT, and I like it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it's very descriptive. You can't
it's
go
very
wrong with
descriptive,
it.
and to be honest, like we didn't have to pay Google anything. Like if you Google English for IT, we're gonna be in top 5 search. And we didn't do like much SEO, to be honest. It just because like the name speaks for
The
itself, and
name,
we have
yes,
so
exactly. And
much.
that's the value you get from be using a
Yeah,
descriptive name.
yeah, this is true. My name English that I have like on my Instagram name is comes from like my class. So I was teaching class at one of the tech companies in Odessa, and I was like always a creative teacher, and so they had a task to create a mobile app, and they
Mhm.
had to like this to describe they had to create it like speaking English and describing all the processes, and I was just a facilitator of the process. So I had 2 teams. Oh my god, you're gonna laugh, Vlada. This is gonna be like, you knew this, it's gonna be a favorite story. So I had the two teams. They had to, and they were actually a team. Their real jobs were UX mobile designers and mobile developers. So we were developing mobile apps. So they actually, within these 2 hours, they created a PowerPoint presentation with slides, like the design of the app. So one team's app was called English. They created an app for Anna to teach English, and they came
That's
up with the
amazing.
name Anna English. I'm like, I'm gonna use it. So I created an Instagram account with this name. And this is how it started, with English technically, and it just stuck. And then I saw that other people they were following me. They started using this name because they were also Anna, but they wanted to be English. So I think it's pretty cool. But the second team, guess what? My God,
All
they
right.
created an app and they called it Gandrabura. It's like Uber for English or something. I don't remember the idea, but it's like Uber for English. It's Gandrabura. That was so funny. I was like, guys, this name is kind of too long for an app. Come on, for a company, that's a long name. But English, I liked, and they
Yeah.
also created a logo at that in that class that I used for a long time as my logo for English Facebook page too. So that was really
Fantastic.
nice.
Crowdsourcing. You were crowdsourcing
I
your
was yeah, we were just like crowdsourcing each other.
amazing. Well, I think that's a wrap for naming,
That's a
Anna.
wrap.
Or
That's a sweet wrap. I love that we shared our personal stories. If you guys are going to be watching this in as a recorded a session, that was our personal stories. Let us know if you would like to have more personal stories. I actually think those are the best when you want to learn
yeah,
something, right?
absolutely. Or if you're in the process of naming your a startup right now. You can even post that as a question, and we
Yeah.
might as well come and help you with
By
some
the
of
way,
the
Vlada,
GPT prompts.
since you're mentoring startups, would you like? Do you also? I mean, I don't know if that was something that startups would come to you with, but would you like also be advising on the naming, or like have you done that, or would you do that?
That's a great question. Well, again, I think naming, it has to have a meaning to you first, and then to your customer second, and what do you want it to be associated with, right? Kind of what you do for your customers. So I think it goes back to what I love doing most is just really the foundation grounded in who you are serving, and what you are truly helping them achieve. And so, yeah, I think naming is a byproduct of what it is you're doing, unless you want to pick just, I don't know, something funny. Like there is a VC, for example, name I love called lasagna. It's just like, I don't know exactly why it's lasagna, but like every time I hear,
Lasagna.ai.
right, every time I hear it, it just like makes me smile. And it's like, okay, I
Yeah, and
remember
hungry
that.
too, and hungry too. That's and I don't want to be a founder of the startup like of the company called Lasagna. I'll be like thinking about
Lasagna.
food all the
Yeah,
time.
because maybe you don't, and that's why I'm saying it's all comes down to you and sort of what you want to stand behind. And as long as it adds some energy to represent that. And I think that to me actually was the very first time I wasn't with the badge of class tag after many years. It was, and I put in the elevator lab. That was a weird turning point because it was such a big part of my identity to write class tag on the badge.
So how do you feel about elevator lab now? Are you used to it now? You're still good
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, getting used to it, absolutely. But I think as a mentor and coaching founders, I think what is cool about Elevator is that I'm getting the a bit of identity working with other founders, and certainly I think something I'm proud of is really the level of commitment that I have to the teams I work with, and certainly very invested in their success. So whatever it is, naming or gaming, we can do it
But
all.
but honestly, I'm glad that I mean you shared, and you can always change the name when and and usually the change comes with maybe some pivotal moment in the company too, like in
Right.
my case, So yeah, so thanks for sharing your stories.
Yes, thank you guys. And we'll see you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you have thoughts on the topics for us to share, DM us individually so you can find English or Anna Gandrabura on LinkedIn, and Vlada Lotkina as well. And we will be back to you with more insights that are bite-sized, thought-provoking, and inspiring. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye, Vlada.
Bye, Anna.